Should you see 2001: A Space Odyssey? The film has a monolithic reputation, yet relatively few people seem to have seen the whole thing. Of those who have viewed the film in its entirety, opinions seem to be binary. One camp hails the experience as an unparalleled masterpiece, and the other claims it to be a colossal bore. 2001 was made for artists or art appreciators. The composition, camera movement, lighting, and sound for every frame of film is constructed as though the filmmaker's career hangs off that frame alone. The image is meticulous to the point of nearly transcending human creation, serving as the perfect visual counterpoint to the film's narrative themes, exploring sentience, the essence of humanity, and the link between spatial exploration and introspection. This aesthetic integrity is made even more impressive when the historic context of the film is taken into account before viewing. 2001: A Space Odyssey was released in 1968. It predates Star Wars, Alien, Blade Runner, practically any science fiction classic on film that still maintains pop culture relevance. As an extension of this context, 2001 also predates any semblance of digital effects. What you see is what you get. All images are occurring, albeit through masterful sleight of hand, on camera. See this floating pen? Nowadays, we would just have the actress work around an imaginary pen and create a digital object, animate it, render it, and perfectly blend it into the shot with compositing tricks. Now, there's nothing wrong with that, and it would have looked just fine, but in 1968, they had to be a bit more creative. What we see here is a pen stuck to a piece of glass in front of the camera, the scene carefully arranged to eliminate giveaway reflections. This shot of an astronaut exercising in a seemingly ZeroG environment, there are no wires to paint out, no green screen wizardry to key. The entire set is a giant drum, with the actor always at the bottom, behaving normally. The camera itself is on a rig, rotating with the set to give the illusion that the actor is the one moving. Surely this sequence is the result of traditional animation, or some kind of digital animated design, right? It's actually an old camera trick called Slit scan photography, a painstaking process involving a specialized camera setup to turn undistorted art into streaks of brilliant, stretched light. The entire film, on a technical level, is both groundbreaking and fascinating. The narrative will be pretty familiar to most viewers, as an uncountable number of films, TV shows, and video games have either paid homage or straight up ripped off 2001: A Space Odyssey in the many years between 1968 and today. As such, very little will come as a surprise. That said, the story is engaging and interesting. We never get to know the characters very well, yet this impersonal nature feels intentional as a counterpoint to the narrative theme of human nature versus artificial nature. For viewers who need something to connect with emotionally, this might be a difficult watch, as neither the characters nor the narrative arcs are meant to be connected to. The film very purposefully looks at its players from above, impersonally, directly, and coldly. Given the lack of subtlety in the film's point of view, the story doesn't unfold in your standard blockbuster manner. It builds themes visually, layering ideas using scenes that don't directly tie into the main story to convey the narrative, rather than the usual plot point by plot point exposition typically used in major motion pictures. Some viewers may not appreciate this approach and will spend their time being confused about how a given sequence fits into the story, rather than thinking about what the sequence adds to the story's themes and overall narrative layers. You cannot watch 2001: A Space Odyssey from a purely literal standpoint and get much enjoyment from it. Most films are constructed around this idea, yet 2001 really plays with the concept of a visual format, leveraging thematic juice from image rather than constant exposition. Though it must be said, when the film, albeit infrequently, dips into exposition mode, the overall narrative does take a stumble. This leads to one of the biggest complaints about 2001. It is slow. There is nothing snappy or quick about this movie. For many people, this might just be the deal breaker. Once again though, Kubrick directed many films, some with a very brisk pace, so this is a deliberate choice by the filmmaker and works hand in hand with the subject matter. He uses time itself to leverage a sense of scale or grandeur. While not all the effects may look, by today's standards, photorealistic, these long, slow-moving takes, accompanied by the grand music, really sell the physicality of these ships and space stations while underscoring the isolation and danger of space exploration. 2001: A Space Odyssey is not a film that can be watched. It must be experienced. I can think of no other film that makes such demands of its audience. The viewer must succumb to its hypnotism in order to fully appreciate it. Modern audiences will have to resist the urge to fiddle with phones or talk to reach the state of paranoid zen the film demands. It is recommended to watch it on the largest screen possible, with the sound as loud as possible, in a dark environment with a quiet and respectful group. Really lose yourself in this one. This is not a movie. This is an art experience. And frankly, that's not for most people. It's not meant to be. Mass modern audiences bred on Transformers or The Expendables may not have the patience for such things, but if you're willing to approach the film on its own terms, you might just love it. By way of second opinions, Rotten Tomatoes gives 2001: A Space Odyssey 96% out of 100, and IMDb gives it 8.3 stars out of 10.
That's a very nice rendering, Dave. I think you've improved a great deal. Can you hold it a bit closer?
Sure.
That's Dr. Hunter, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
By the way, do you mind if I ask you a personal question?
No, not at all.